In the news, in a decision that voting rights advocates warned would open the floodgates for even more extreme and undemocratic redistricting than what is already in place throughout the nation, the Supreme Court effectively condoned partisan gerrymandering on Thursday by ruling that the practice is beyond its constitutional reach. The Mind Unleashed reports the ruling was 5-4 along party lines, with conservative Chief Justice John Roberts writing the majority opinion. Slate legal journalist Mark Joseph Stern tweeted Thursday that the High Court's ruling is the, quote, nightmare scenario for voting rights advocates, end quote. Frida Levinson, legal director at ACLU of Ohio, said the Supreme Court's ruling will allow the practice of gerrymandering to continue, to flourish, and to evade review by the judicial system, and leaves redistricting in the hands of those who will continue to abuse their awesome power whenever they can to defeat the will of the voters. In a scathing dissent, liberal Justice Elena Kagan accused the High Court's 5 conservative judges of abdicating their constitutional duties, quote, just when the courts across the country, including those below, have coalesced around manageable judicial standards to resolve partisan gerrymandering claims, end quote. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, and believes so strongly in the power of kratom, they're giving it away for free. Just go to freeounceofkratom.com for a free ounce of kratom delivered to your door. Just pay shipping. That's freeounceofkratom.com. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Find us online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. Your news now continues. Twitter, on Thursday, announced it would suppress President Trump's tweets going into the 2020 election by downranking those which violate their rules via algorithms. Offensive material from the President of the United States will also receive a label that applies to all verified political candidates and government officials with over 100,000 followers. According to the Washington Post, before users can view the language in newly flagged tweets, they will need to click on a screen that says the Twitter rules about abusive behavior apply to this tweet. However, Twitter has determined that it may be in the public's interest for the tweet to remain available. The Mind Unleashed reports Twitter will deprioritize the labeled tweets so they would be seen by fewer people, which adds that the policy will go into effect immediately and will not apply to other influencers and leaders. It's also not retroactive. A Brazilian Air Force pilot, who was one of the crew members on their way to serve as the advance guard for Brazil President Bolsonaro during the forthcoming G20 summit in Osaka, was arrested during a stopover in Seville en route to Japan, after Spanish customs officers discovered enough cocaine on him to fuel a small Wall Street bank's party for a month, in what has become an international embarrassment for Bolsonaro, who is known as Brazil's Trump and also the country's self-professed law and order president. The Mind Unleashed reports the 38-year-old airman appeared in court Wednesday on charges of drug trafficking after Spanish officials discovered 37 packets of cocaine weighing a total of 39 kilos in baggage. Officers from Spain's Guardia Civil took the crew member into custody, and a police spokesman in Seville said the whole bag was filled with drugs. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
Procter & Gamble introduced a beginner series of its Bounty paper towel brand this week, specifically designed to assist novices in acclimating to the household cleaning product. The new entry-level paper towels will reportedly feature bold labels and guide markers clearly printed on the surface of each sheet, as well as a step-by-step instructional DVD in each package.
Make sure that your paper towel is directly on top of the stain and not beside the stain. Otherwise, you won't absorb any liquid. Place your paper towel directly on the stain and make a gentle wiping motion.
In this week's local news, an area man knows that deep down, he's not done vomiting. In other news, Los Angeles residents are plagued by a roving pack of feral celebrities living in the Hollywood Hills. God wonders what happens to humans after they die, and a local dad clarifies that this is not a food stop. I was told early on that I would never be able to procreate, but I imagine the cold, dejected sensation I experience at the end of this news summary is similar to what a father feels when holding a child of his own flesh and blood.
This is the Onion News Network.
Welcome to the Call to Freedom. It is Sunday, actually June the 30th of 2019, in our new time slots on Sundays and Wednesdays at 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock Eastern. And I had totally forgotten that there was a show today for the most part, and woke up at like 12:40. It was like, I'm supposed to be on the air in an hour and 20 minutes. That's not happening. Because I have not done a show. I realized sitting here a few minutes ago that there is so much I have not caught people up on, right? I have not done a show since Monday night. Do you remember what happened Monday night?
Nobody remembers Monday night.
I remember Monday night. Monday night was the night that after leaving Free Talk Live, after doing the archives, I was pulled over on Marlborough Street. I have not done a show since then. The last show was Tuesday, and then for whatever reason, I don't remember now, we needed a repeat or something for Wednesday. No, that was the day that we went ahead and made the switch. So there was not going to be a show. So yeah, for those who missed it, Monday night I was pulled over by the Keene Police Department. Now this whole thing it's so obvious that, you know, they were working with the state troopers in order to corner me and pull me over, right? Because as I was driving down Emerald Street, I passed a cop who was sitting there doing nothing. Okay, no biggie. So I turned onto, I think it's Wilson, and then onto Davis to get onto Blake, to get onto Winchester, to get onto Marlboro. Oh, anyway, yeah. So I took, sort of going over there by my other job, I took a right onto Davis Street, and look at that. There's another cop right behind me who had to have turned onto Davis Street from Marlboro Street. And for those who are unfamiliar with Keene, there is no reason a cop would ever do that. If they're going to go that direction, they're going to get on Winchester, which takes them directly to the Walmart area and all of that. This is a neighborhood area that happens to connect to both Main Street and Winchester, but Winchester also connects directly to Main Street. It's like going out of your way, right? So I have no doubt that it was a causation that the original cop saw me and had the other guy come and get behind me, because it would have been too suspicious. I had too many opportunities to turn over at that particular moment. So then I got onto Marlborough Street, going through the roundabout there, and as I expected, because the guy was pretty close to me, but he was also kind of sort of keeping his distance, but it still had that vibe to it, even though he wasn't driving as aggressively as cops normally do in this situation. And that was it. As soon as I got onto Marlborough Street, those lights started flashing. I was like, I knew it. And so if you want to see how all of that played out, you can go to my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Aria DeMezzo in order to watch the first part of the video. The second part was streamed to Facebook because Cell 411 was having issues. And you can also find a link to that in the YouTube description. It's all very interesting.
Now, you mentioned Cell 411. You should, maybe our listeners don't all know what that is.
Well, I've talked extensively about it. It's great. The only issue I have with it at the moment appears to be that if you send someone a friend request, they won't get it until they actually open Cell 411, which they don't ordinarily have calls to do until something is going down, right?
Right. So
all of the people,
you should open it from time to time so you don't get a flurry of friend requests when you do.
Well, I mean, it's a bit worse than that because if it hadn't been that I was also a member of the Keene activist cell or something like that, the people who showed up to film and, you know, to keep the situation from elevating and getting out of hand and all of that, would not have been notified because they hadn't opened the app to see if there had been friend requests, because you would expect that to be a push notification, right?
Yeah, although I think they would see the alert anyway if they were in the cells. They don't have to be friends with you, right?
They would.
Okay.
But the friend request route seems to be more effective at any rate.
Oh, okay.
Judging from what I could tell. It's a great little app. Anytime anything happens that puts you in danger, just pop open Cell 411, send out an alert. There are several options like being harassed, which, going to get into this too, I had calls to use about 11 hours ago. I ended up not using it, but I probably should have. And being pulled over, all sorts of things that I can't think of off the top of my head. It notifies everyone who is in a cell with you who also has the application so that they can come and offer assistance. You know, as the commercial goes, who are you going to call? If you don't call the police, well, you'll call your friends. They won't show up and shoot you, right?
Yeah, they'll show up and not shoot you.
Yeah, they will show up and hopefully keep you from being shot. So that's Cell 411. Go check it out. It's an awesome application. In seconds of being pulled over, you know, it had sent out the notification, and it does require a bit of setup to do this part of it. But it had started the live stream to my YouTube channel and to the Cell 411 Facebook page. They were having some sort of issue, though, because it crashed like 4 minutes in, and I was not able to get it going again. Matt Roach was also there. Ian was also there. Matt Roach was attempting to stream it via Cell 411 as well, and he kept crashing. And then eventually it was like, no, we just can't start your stream.
Well, maybe we should start a Cell 411 testing cell and try doing some alerts when there is no emergency going on, just to that cell, and see if we can reproduce that, because you know, we know Virgil, the guy who produces the app, so
sure,
we can, if we've got bugs and they're reproducible, let's send them off and get them fixed.
Well, the big bug right now is the friend request thing. I feel like he needs to be notified of that, because that's probably something he can fix pretty quickly and easily.
Yeah, I would agree. Just make that a push request.
Yeah.
And
they can hit confirm and probably not even have to open the app in order to do it. That would be great.
That would be a good thing. I'll see if I haven't talked to Virgil in a while, but I'll see if I can get in touch with him.
So that's what happened Monday. And on the ride back, Ian suggested to me looking into renewing my license online, because for those who have not followed the situation, I've been driving on an expired registration and an expired license. The license thing, I really wasn't aware that I could do anything about, right? The state of New Hampshire requires me to have my birth certificate in order to get my real ID driver's license. Well, the state of Mississippi won't relinquish my birth certificate without a valid ID. So it's sort of a bureaucratic nightmare of, okay, well, just how am I supposed to get one of these two documents that each one of you is requesting in order for me to get the other person's documents, right?
That's some catch.
Yeah.
Best there is. Catch 22.
Yeah, it was fun. But then I learned, because Ian mentioned it, he was like, why don't you just try to renew it online in Mississippi? So I finally remembered to do that like Wednesday night when I got off work, and 5 freaking minutes later, my new ID was renewed. My driver's license was renewed. It took a total of 5 minutes. And there was a $1 late fee. $1. I love Mississippi for that reason alone.
There's something to be said for it.
But I'm not, even though my license is technically valid, I'm still not driving at the moment because I don't have it with me, and that's still a ticketable offense. It's not enough for it to be valid.
It's ticketable, but it's not arrestable.
No, but I'm good on tickets at the moment.
Yeah.
Both of them are going to be thrown out, I'm sure. I'm pleading not guilty, even though by the letter of the law, I'm guilty, but it gives me a chance to go up in front of a judge and make an ass out of them. And that, to me, is what it's all about. There is a total of like $206 in fines attached to this. Again, most of these tickets are going to be thrown out because we can actually prove that the registration for the vehicle was valid the day of the incident.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
We just didn't have it with us because it was coming from Montana, right? But yeah, it was registered on that day. So that ticket, that's gone. That's being thrown out. And that's the big one. The other one is driving on the expired license, which is $62. Interestingly, for those who just did the math, it's actually not $206, it's $186. The fine for driving without registration is exactly twice as much as the fine for driving without a license. So you can be just some random yahoo who's never driven a vehicle, jumping into a car and causing all sort of chaos. Your ticket is $62, but God help you, if you don't get the state's permission to drive that particular vehicle, it's twice as expensive. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a moment.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
This is a special alert for business owners, consultants, coaches, folks planning retirement, entrepreneurs, and anyone who is saving and investing to build a financial future. You are likely aware that financial privacy for most people has recently died a miserable death. And let's face it, without privacy, there really is no security, is there? Bankrupt governments and banks on the verge of collapse are perhaps the biggest threat to your financial future today. The Lighthouse Law Club recognizes this and has been working diligently to provide safe, secure, and productive tools to ensure your privacy, your financial security, and your future financial well-being, despite the catastrophes which many people fear are looming ahead of us. Find out more with a variety of free videos on the YouTube channel for Lighthouse Law Club. Just search YouTube for Lighthouse Law Club and secure your future today.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. As always, I'm your host. I forgot to say this a moment ago, but I'm your host, Aria DeMezzo, author of Dancing in Hellfire, which you can find on Amazon. Joined in the studio today by...
Nobody, the author of The Invisible Handbook.
Is there actually an invisible handbook?
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Okay. So there may or may not be one. So as we were talking about, I ended up getting pulled over Monday night. That wasn't the only thing of note that happened Monday night. I also had someone say that through the course of conversation that they didn't think I was a real person. They thought I was a bot or something like that. I was like, are you serious? You haven't heard or seen the red-haired tranny in Keene who ran for sheriff. You missed the 6-foot-tall tranny with bright red hair who ran for sheriff. You somehow missed this. And Facebook did not approve. So they banned me for 30 days this time.
Wow. Mark Zuckerberg will be the first against the wall when the revolution comes.
So I did the whole this needs to be appealed thing, right? And that was Tuesday morning at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it still hasn't been done. I tend to check it about once a day at this point to see
if they found your appeal appealing.
Yeah. And I don't think they're going to at this point. And at this point, it matters less. This is the danger that Facebook runs with these sorts of large bans, right? It's very much like any other sort of addiction. The longer they allow me to go without Facebook, the less need I have for Facebook because I will find other things to do with my time.
See, what I've done is, and I've actually created a page on Facebook for this.
I know, I've seen it. And I don't want to get into the absurdity of that.
Why?
You're on Facebook talking about leaving Facebook.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's hypocritical.
The
Just
Pied
leave.
Piper was talking about leaving Ireland.
I don't talk about leaving Facebook. Not really. I don't talk about leaving Facebook on Facebook. I mean, it seems like if you're going to talk about leaving Facebook, just do it. Just do it.
Part of the point is A, letting people know why you're gone, and B, giving people a pointer of a place to go to find you if they're looking for you on Facebook, and so that helps lead other people off Facebook. That's the point.
But they're not leaving if they're looking for you on Facebook.
Also, absurdity is not necessarily a showstopper for me. You know, Camus is a prophet of the church.
I would say absurd. That was me being polite. I would actually use the word hypocritical.
Okay. Well, you can. And that's okay. The thing is, I want to see a lot of people off Facebook, not just me.
But if they're using Facebook to find you on Facebook, then they're not leaving Facebook.
Well, they are if they click through the link.
How is clicking through a link going to help them leave Facebook?
Well, they're going to click through a link to Mastodon or to Liberdon, or they're going to click through a link to Steemit, or they're going to click through a link to someplace.
I hate Steemit.
I'm not crazy about Steemit. I have mixed feelings about it.
You know what is actually a fantastic social media platform? And I didn't even know it was a social media platform. Pornhub.
Really?
It is a full-blown social media platform with friends and statuses and updates.
Was the pun intended there?
No, it wasn't, but might as well have been.
Full-blown social media on Pornhub.
And it's fully... I will never get banned on Pornhub for using the word tranny.
It's true.
So, I mean, if you want free speech, I think Pornhub is probably the way to go. I mean, there are millions of users. The more it gets used and sort of normalized as a social media platform, the more people who will be comfortable using it.
It's true.
So I would like to see that. They've already done the legwork, you know?
That would be interesting, but I would still like to see a decentralized Pornhub. You know, decentralization still matters. Any large entity is suable.
Sure. But, you know, I'm not a big concern person about the whole decentralization thing. I understand, you know, the way that businesses work is that they tend to amass power and lies along that. And in the free market, when they step out of line, they have competition that you can then turn to. Right. So I don't take issue with Pornhub being centralized, or even with Facebook being centralized. The issue I have with Facebook is that they essentially don't have competition at the moment. Primarily because they buy out anyone who could be competition. That's how they ended up with all of these apps in the first place, like WhatsApp and whatever the other one is.
Yeah, of course, the solution to that would be just keep producing apps until they run out of money.
Sure, but I mean, they're not just going to buy random apps. It has to be good. If you have a money-making idea and a money-making app, sure. But those are not like, you can't just make a new one of those every day.
True. Although I've got about half a dozen ideas.
So I'm currently banned from Facebook. And, as time goes by, I did uninstall the app earlier today because it's just not worth my time to continue checking it. I'm sure I'll probably, be able to sit at a computer and look at it Friday or something and find that, oh, look, they appealed my ban and they were like, okay, you're correct. This is not hate speech. You think the tranny during Pride Month is probably not out there spewing anti-trans hate speech. That's the remarkable thing about this. Facebook bans a trans person from their platform during Pride Month for saying something about herself. It's priceless. You can't make that stuff up.
See, that would be an interesting story to promote.
It would be if I cared enough to promote it, but I really don't. A lot of people have. Jackie Mason was talking about it. Drew Frederick, the guy who sent us the LGBT Pride ACAB pins, has been promoting it and talking about it. So, I mean, it got out a little bit within Liberty circles, but for the most part, people are like, well, if we can't say tranny, then neither can the tranny. I was like, look, I don't care if you say tranny. So,
but they do have a point in that.
There's no point there.
Well, there is a point there, which is if you're going to have, which is free speech for everybody.
Yeah, but Facebook isn't a free speech platform. They should not be stopped
from saying tranny because they're not trannies.
Facebook is not a free speech platform. It has never pretended to be. They're not entitled to free speech on Facebook. It's just like a white person sitting around their house going, how come they can say the N-word, but I can't? It's like, because there's a lot of context here that you might be missing. This said, I don't care if that person does say tranny. It doesn't make a difference to me whatsoever.
And I don't think there should be any legal consequences for using the N-word either.
Well, certainly not. But I don't approve that, they should use it necessarily. And I understand where people are coming from if it bothers them that, some cishet white male says it. Because historically, the whole reason that word exists was because it was to be used as a pejorative against trans people. So,
what if somebody's in the closet and they use that term? Is that okay? And do they have to come out of the closet?
I'm not making rules about it. Anybody who wants to say it can say it around me. I don't care. This is the Call to Freedom. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a moment with further discussion.
Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
I wouldn't be hasty. You have to get a license to go out of business, too,
Oh, well, look, I've invented this little anti-gravity machine, see?
Oh, is that why you're walking 2 inches above the floor?
Oh, yes, it's very comfortable. It saves on shoe leather.
Yeah, well, you have to fill out these forms and report to the Human Services Department of Manpower Orientation and register with the Fair Employment Practice Commission, the Wage and Hour Division of the Employment Standards Administration, the State Sales and Income Tax Division, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and, of course, OSHA.
OSHA? I thought that was a little town in Wisconsin.
You'll find out. Say, floating around like that could be dangerous. Have you checked with the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, not yet.
Come to think of it, you actually are flying, aren't you? Look, you need to go over to the Federal Aviation Administration and the Transportation...
It's very hard to get anything done these days if you're in business, but free enterprise built this country. Think what could happen if we don't keep it free. A public service of this station and the Center for the Defense of Free Enterprise, Bellevue, Washington.
We just can't have people floating about unregulated,
Did you know you can legally exit the U.S. federal income tax system? Well, it's true, and thousands of American nationals are doing it. The 16th Amendment and the Internal Revenue Code are legal, but only in a limited jurisdiction. This is the basis behind the voluntary nature of the income tax. Learn the exit strategy provided by Congress. Find out more by visiting weissparis.com and watch our numerous videos. That's WEISS Paris.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Did you know you can listen to LRN.FM via our free-to-air satellite channels? We have channels over nearly all of North America and much of Africa. All you need is an affordable receiver and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you are a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage maps and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm. sat.lrn.fm.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is The Call to Freedom, and the Rational Review News Digest, which you can find at rationalreview.com, is the Freedom of Miss Daily News Digest, aggregating stories from all over the internet that are of interest to libertarians and to liberty-minded people. They have podcasts, videos, news articles, and more, and they are now a source for people to receive the Call to Freedom's podcasts. So be sure to check it out. Again, that's rationalreview.com. Now, we've been talking about various things that have been going on in the virtually 6-week-long hiatus from Call to Freedom. Obviously, among those things was a move of the show from daily 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. to Sundays and Wednesdays 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. This is better for everyone involved. For the no other reason than that, it frees me to do other things with my time. And that's always a good thing. It's not that I don't like doing Call to Freedom. I still love doing Call to Freedom. But I have other things that would be far more productive that I could be doing that I couldn't be doing because I had this huge sword of Damocles hanging over me Monday through Friday, right in the middle of the afternoon when my day is really getting going.
That's a huge commitment to take on for free.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all.
That's like a part-time job.
So I was banned from Facebook Monday night to continue updating people on everything that's been going on. That's all been relatively normal. Everything else has been relatively normal, except for the fact that, because of the things we alluded to, or we talked about in the first segment, I have still been walking to and from work for the most part. I mean, there have been rides here and there if I was too tired. A coworker gave me a ride home the other night and all that. But last night I was like, I'm just going to walk home. I don't want to deal with asking anyone for a ride. So I started doing that. And as I came out onto Route 101, which is the highway, probably 0.7 of a mile from home at this point, someone in an SUV stops, which is unusual. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, okay? And says, hey, do you want to get laid? They didn't use the word laid, right? I didn't even hear what they said. I assumed they stopped to offer me a ride because...
Well, they did.
I guess. But I had my Bluetooth headset in, so I was just listening to music anyway. I had no idea what this person said. So I popped it. I was like, what did you say? It was like, do you want to get laid? We'll go with that again. And I was just stunned. I was like, is this happening? What is happening? I was like, no, I'm good. And he said something else that I didn't quite understand. Probably, well, screw you then, or something like that. And drove off. That wasn't the end of it. You would think, okay, well, that's a weird experience for someone to have at 3 o'clock in the morning, but surely that's the end of the story. That's not the end of the story. So I continued walking home, keeping my eyes up. Actually, in fact, I called Rich because the whole thing was weird. And as soon as somebody got to the top of the hill there, I saw a lot of brake lights, and I assumed that very shortly after that, they were going to turn around and bother me some more. They didn't. Presumably. The whole thing was so weird. So I continued walking, and suddenly somebody goes, wow, imagine that. Somebody else walking home along the highway at 3 in the morning. Hold on. Because that is extremely unlikely, right? I was sure this was the same person who had just parked their vehicle somewhere and gotten out in order to more easily, harass me. Let's go with that terminology. It turned out to be some dude and his dog, totally unrelated to the first person. But at 3 o'clock in the morning, I think it's understandable that I assumed that it was the same person, right?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't have assumed that, but I would have been open to the possibility.
Well, I don't know if I assumed it any particular direction. I just knew that I was probably not safe at that exact moment.
Yeah, it didn't sound good to me.
No, it didn't sound good to me either, because it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and there is never anyone walking along that road at 3 o'clock in the morning, right?
Except crazy 6-foot trannies who run for sheriff.
Yeah, well, I'm an unusual one. I've been doing that ride home at 3 o'clock in the morning for like 10 months now, something like that. And I have never seen anyone walking at that hour, right? Yeah. But just mere minutes after this person stopped and asked if I wanted to get laid, there was indeed somebody walking. So that was all unusual. Nothing came of it. It was just very odd and jarring, really. I have never had anyone pull over and ask me if I wanted to get laid. That is a new one. So anyway, that's what's been going on. The show is now Sunday and Wednesdays, 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find us on DLive, and of course, the LRN channel on DLive has been made into a verified partner with DLive, which is similar to the thing we were attempting to do on Twitch, but the Twitch route just didn't pan out. And then DLive started up, and the studio got onto that really, really early, and now had, I think as of Wednesday, had met all of the criteria to become a verified partner, and so proceeded with that. It's very cool stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, so check us out there. That's dlive.lrn.fm instead of twitch.lrn. We are still on Twitch at twitch.lrn.fm, but instead you should check us out on DLive. So moving on to other stuff going on. Apparently there have been two, as I understand it, Democratic presidential debates. I have not seen either one of them. I was under the impression that there had been two now.
You may well be right. I don't know.
Well, Joe Biden is among those people. He is the Mitt Romney of the 2020 Democratic race. I mean, that's what he is. He's the establishment figure going back to 2012, not 2016. You got to ignore Trump for the moment. But look, forgetting 2016 entirely, Joe Biden is.
Can we do that?
2012's Mitt Romney. Yeah, I would love to forget it. But evidently, he's been making stupid remarks. So people gathered at his fundraiser Saturday, and they pushed back against the former vice president's claim that just a few years ago, people in Washington state would have let a homophobic comment slide, saying, "Not in Seattle." I'm confused. I guess we would have to actually hear his entire statement instead of a paraphrasing of his statement. Anyway, Biden suggested that public sentiment toward gay rights had come far in a short period of time, saying that 5 years ago, if someone at a business meeting in Seattle made fun of a gay waiter, people would just let it go, according to a pool report of the event. The audience vocally responded to the remark, and some in the crowd said homophobic comments would not have gone unchallenged even before 5 years ago. Oh, there's nothing to this. This should have been way more interesting. How do you manage to write an entire article about this? He said something stupid and the crowd disagreed. Not what you would want happening at your fundraiser, granted, but stops. At least he didn't fill up any little kids this time. Have you noticed how dark he's getting? He has clearly been tanning, trying to look Hispanic, is what I would say. What's up with that? Have you heard about the presidential candidate who just randomly started speaking Spanish during sloppy, bad Spanish?
Yeah. You learned like 2 sentences in Spanish. I think I can't remember what the quote is. I think it was something like, "I'm pandering to you."
Yeah, I think that's probably it.
But I don't know. My Spanish isn't good.
I can't imagine, being a Hispanic person who saw something like that, being in any way inclined to ever vote for that person.
No es bueno. No es bueno. Es muy malo.
That is the extent of the Spanish I know as well. Definitely not good.
Deseo aprender más, pero no tengo tiempo.
Which presidential candidate was it? It doesn't matter. They're all pretty much interchangeable anyway. So that's what's been happening, but don't go anywhere. A woman ate half of a cake in Walmart and then tried to pay for only half of it. And we're going to talk about that because it's completely stupid. This is the Call to Freedom.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
The easiest thing in the world for a reader to do is to stop reading, according to the late, great Barney Kilgore, who became managing editor of the Wall Street Journal in 1941 and grew the paper's circulation from 33,000 to 1 million by the 60s. And he'd be pleased to know that his paper is one of the few that people now pay to read online. Someone else pre-internet who realized that attention is fragile? Motown Records founder Berry Gordy. In the early 60s, when his label dominated the charts, he'd bring a dozen real people into the Hitsville, USA studios and audition songs. And he'd ask, if you were down to your last dollar, would you spend it on this record or would you buy a sandwich? Today, attention span seems like an oxymoron. For tips on cutting through the clutter, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Would you like to hang out with Penn Jillette? He's keynoting Freedom Fest this year. I, for one, am thrilled. Freedom Fest is the largest liberty-oriented gathering in the world. They take a Big Ten approach with libertarians, conservatives, liberals, anarchists, and just open-minded people mingling together to hear real debates, share real solutions, and converse freely. This year's theme is the Wild West, a time of liberty and opportunity, or a time of anarchy and violence. Maybe both. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and get your tickets now. freedomfest.com/FTL. Not convinced yet? Hey, I understand. It's a high-end event, even with coupon code FTLEB. Sure, you're likely to receive investment advice that'll make that sum seem paltry, but I have something special for you. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and you'll get the 5 best speeches from last year for free. Call it a test drive. Do yourself a favor and go to freedomfest.com/FTL. freedomfest.com/FTL. Use coupon code FTLEB for a discount.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Welcome back to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. If you've ever wanted to have sex with prostitutes and then arrest them, or bust people for drugs and then sell the drugs on the side for a nice little bonus, or just enjoy the power rush of being a cop without all the paperwork, then you should try the Thin Blue Line game, which you can find at thinbluelinegame.com. It's the only card game in the world that allows you to break into someone's apartment, shoot them, and then escape accountability by saying, "It was dark and I thought it was my apartment." Assault and battery is not included, but for a limited time, you can use the coupon code CTF to get all shipping costs waived. So go get it. Again, that's thinbluelinegame.com. Now, as alluded to prior to the break. What?
I said that's a pig call.
Oh, well, I guess. As we alluded to before the break, speaking of pigs, in Wichita Falls, Texas, evidently, when police in Wichita Falls get a phone call from Walmart, it's a pretty safe bet things have gotten weird. We know weird here on Call to Freedom, but in January, officers responded to the report of a woman driving an electric scooter around the store's parking lot while drinking wine from a Pringles can.
I want to party with her.
It gets worse.
It always does when it starts there.
How do you put wine in a Pringles can? Aren't they made out of cardboard?
Well, yeah, but they've got this like tinfoil kind of coating on the inside, I think.
Have you done this?
With wine?
With anything? Have you ever
I usually drink vodka.
Have you ever drank any substance out of a Pringles can?
Only Pringles crumbs.
That's not drinking, though. That's eating.
Well, it's drinking if you pour it into your mouth from the can, which is kind of what I do. So.
On Tuesday, another Walmart called to report a woman who refused to pay full price for a cake, according to Wichita Falls Times Records News. Good God, did they put enough newspaper buzzwords in there. So on that story, police banned a woman from Walmart after she reportedly ate half of a cake and refused to pay for the half she did not eat. It's hard to argue with her logic.
Well.
So the police department said that they responded on June the 25th when they received a report of a woman who had entered the store, ate half of a cake, and refused to pay for the other half. They said she was banned from the store for the theft. But evidently it's not the same woman as the woman who was driving her little scooter around in the parking lot drinking wine, evidently for several hours. It just seems that both stories that I have found talking about the...
Are they making bigger Pringles cans now?
They do make some pretty tall ones. I think they get up to, I don't know, maybe, what is that? Like 15 inches tall, maybe?
Still, it seems like you're going to go through like 2 bottles of wine if you're drinking it for hours.
I can't imagine what this woman may have been thinking. I guess it was something along the lines of, oh, well, if I put this wine in a Pringles can, no one will know I'm getting lit.
That seems like a reasonably good thing. People will think I'm just pouring the crumbs in my mouth over and over again.
It certainly would have made more sense to get like a bottle of Welch's grape juice or something and use that.
But that's been done.
Yeah, but it's also not going to, I want to see the video of this woman driving her scooter around the parking lot drinking wine from a Pringles can.
Is it out there?
The fact, it doesn't seem to be, but the fact that this video has not been released is a crime against humanity.
It's true. It's true.
Because it's never a skinny person riding one of these scooters, right? Unless they're tragically injured.
We've got our comical injuries and our tragical imageries.
Very much so.
The two faces of mayhem.
I will say for sure that the kind of person who's going to drive their scooter around Walmart drinking wine out of a Pringles can is not going to fall on the tragic side of injury. That's the comical side.
Well, there is that.
They're going to take my foot because of the diabetes.
Let the laws of nature prevail. If they can't walk around, they're going to have to just stay where they are until they lose enough weight that they can.
But see, that's the whole issue with modern society in general, is that we are, encouraging weakness by developing these technologies that instead of forcing her to actually get off her ass and exercise, we'll just invent something to sell her that allows her to continue slovenly getting around.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me that it's invented, because certainly that sort of thing has legitimate uses. What bothers me is that the rest of us are robbed to pay for these things.
Well, maybe and maybe not. For all we know, it was a private scooter that she bought from some pharmacy and didn't have medical insurance, so she actually paid for it out of pocket. I don't know these circumstances, but more than likely, you're right. She's got diabetes. Almost certainly. This is Wichita Falls, Texas, okay? I'm going to make some assumptions here.
I assumed you would.
So she's probably got diabetes, and that's probably the reason that she's in a scooter. She's probably 250 to 300 pounds. She's probably 5'6" at the most. And she is probably going to be eating Burger King for dinner. If not Burger King, then McDonald's.
I like
while
Burger
driving,
King better.
and she's probably going to get there on her scooter in the actual traffic lane, driving at 3 miles per hour or whatever those things drive at. Because the kind of person
drunk with a Pringles pan full of wine,
just turning it up. It's so bizarre, but yeah, evolutionarily, Darwin or natural selection would solve this problem for us, but we do have these technologies that are keeping stupid people alive. It's so hard to accidentally kill yourself these days. And when I say accidentally, I don't mean freak accident, because those things still happen and all of that, but it's almost impossible to crank up your lawnmower and accidentally cut your head off. Quote, accidentally cutting your head off. This is not to say I've tried it or anything like that, but I know how modern lawnmowers work. And I know that unless you're Stretch Armstrong, or whoever, Stretch, whatever he is from Fantastic Four.
I think it's Stretch Armstrong.
I thought so too. It's not going to be possible for you to accidentally injure yourself with the lawnmower. And why is that? Well, it's because we're trying to keep the stupid people alive. It's the same reason that your circuit breakers will flip as soon as you drop a bathtub, as soon as you drop your hairdryer into your bathtub.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the flip side of eugenics, where, eugenics was the idea of making GMO people by central planning.
Right.
And that's a terrible idea.
Yes, it is.
But this other side, this dysgenic idea, the idea that we should move the floor of what's required to survive down to zero, can also be disastrous for society, because it's easier to make simple things than to make complex things.
And now we have the UBI and all of these other schemes that are just designed to further lower the bar of what it takes to exist.
Yeah. Although the UBI, I mean, I prefer it to the current system because it subsidizes existing instead of subsidizing existing and being a failure. So at least its effect isn't dysgenic, it's neutral. But yes, it's definitely, I mean, what I personally would want to see if you were going to have a voluntary welfare program is, hey, we'll donate to the organization, and hey, come to us, and if you tell us, yes, I can't take care of myself, then we'll say, okay, well, we'll help you out with that, but do us a favor and get yourself fixed first. Because if you legitimately can't take care of yourself, we don't need more like you.
Very good point. But I mean, maybe they were in a tragic injury, a tragic accident or something along those lines. And that's what caused them to be, I don't know, crippled from the waist down or whatever.
Yeah, but
in which case it wouldn't be genetic. It would just be tragic.
Well, I don't know that accidents aren't at least in part genetic. I mean, certainly the ability to avoid accidents is somewhat genetic.
Possibly to a degree. I'm not sure to what degree we really need to dispute that, though, because it's ultimately nature versus nurture, isn't it? And people have been debating that for thousands of years. This is a call to freedom. There's so much more to get into, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a moment.
Don't you hate that feeling in the pit of your stomach when the police pull you over? Most people have no idea how to handle it properly, and they promptly get fed into the municipal fee-generating meat grinder. Or maybe you recall that feeling you get when you go to the mailbox and see one or more letters from the IRS. You get a sense of impending doom, don't you? So let me ask you, if you could learn how to use the law to beat the IRS, traffic tickets, almost any courtroom scenario, collectors, credit card debt, and even mortgage debt because of fraud perpetrated against you, would that be worth knowing about? Don't laugh. Investigate. Check out the life-changing benefits of the Lighthouse Law Club at their website, lighthouselaw.club. That's lighthouselaw.club. And while you're at it, visit the Lighthouse Law Club YouTube channel. You might be in for a pleasant surprise.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better, too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at mymagicmud.com. FTL20 mymagicmud.com.
More of the Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news.
on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,409. Silver at $15.24. And Bitcoin is trading around $10,812. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at innoscale.net. In the news, in a decision that voting rights advocates warned would open the floodgates for even more extreme and undemocratic redistricting than what is already in place throughout the nation, the Supreme Court effectively condoned partisan gerrymandering on Thursday by ruling that the practice is beyond its constitutional reach. The Mind Unleashed reports the ruling was 5-4 along party lines, with conservative Chief Justice John Roberts writing the majority opinion. Slate legal journalist Mark Joseph Stern tweeted Thursday that the High Court's ruling is the, quote, nightmare scenario for voting rights advocates, end quote. Frida Levinson, legal director at ACLU of Ohio, said the Supreme Court's ruling will allow the practice of gerrymandering to continue, to flourish, and to evade review by the judicial system, and leaves redistricting in the hands of those who will continue to abuse their awesome power whenever they can to defeat the will of the voters. In a scathing dissent, liberal Justice Alina Kagan accused the High Court's 5 conservative judges of abdicating their constitutional duties, quote, just when the courts across the country, including those below, have coalesced around manageable judicial standards to resolve partisan gerrymandering claims, end quote. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven and believes so strongly in the power of kratom, they're giving it away for free. Just go to freeounceofkratom.com for a free ounce of kratom delivered to your door. Just pay shipping. That's freeounceofkratom.com. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Find us online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. Your news now continues. Twitter, on Thursday, announced it would suppress President Trump's tweets going into the 2020 election by downranking those which violate their rules via algorithms. Offensive material from the President of the United States will also receive a label that applies to all verified political candidates and government officials with over 100,000 followers. According to the Washington Post, before users can view the language in newly flagged tweets, they will need to click on a screen that says the Twitter rules about abusive behavior apply to this tweet. However, Twitter has determined that it may be in the public's interest for the tweet to remain available. The Mind Unleashed reports Twitter will deprioritize the labeled tweets so they would be seen by fewer people, which adds that the policy will go into effect immediately and will not apply to other influencers and leaders. It's also not retroactive. A Brazilian Air Force pilot, who was one of the crew members on their way to serve as the advance guard for Brazil President Bolsonaro during the forthcoming G20 summit in Osaka, was arrested during a stopover in Seville en route to Japan, after Spanish customs officers discovered enough cocaine on him to fuel a small Wall Street bank's party for a month, in what has become an international embarrassment for Bolsonaro, who is known as Brazil's Trump and also the country's self-professed law and order president. The Mind Unleashed reports the 38-year-old airman appeared in court Wednesday on charges of drug trafficking after Spanish officials discovered 37 packets of cocaine weighing a total of 39 kilos in baggage. Officers from Spain's Guardia Civil took the crew member into custody, and a police spokesman in Seville said the whole bag was filled with drugs. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
Patients quadriplegics immobilized on Washington in support of stem cell research. And a Penn State t-shirt is awkwardly looked away from. And now for the weekly feature your fragile, susceptible mind already has your lips salivating for. This is The Onion Week in Review. Sources reported today that 10-year-old Brandon Thomas, who is currently homesick at his friend Kevin's sleepover, needs to just tough it the fuck out.
I don't feel like playing Xbox right now.
The pathetic little bitch who claims he just doesn't feel like eating any birthday cake or joining in any activities with his friends, frankly needs to grow a pair because his parents only live 10 minutes away, for Christ's sake. Here's what the whiny pansy had to say for himself.
I wasn't crying. It's just allergies. I want to go home.
What a f***ing wuss. In other news, a voicemail from mom is deleted 3 words in, and a man with nice eyes is blown. All right, now off with you. I can't have you seeing me like this. For more, visit theonion.com/newsbeat.
This is the Onion News Network.
Welcome back to the Call to Freedom. I'm your host, as always, Aria DeMezzo of some sort of thing. I don't have my binder with
Of Call to Freedom.
I am of Call to Freedom, but I'm doing Call to Freedom, so I usually promote something else.
Right,
that isn't
right.
Call to Freedom. Let's go with SoundCloud. SoundCloud.com/Aria DeMezzo. You can hear some of my music there. I'm currently working on a new song. I don't even remember now what I've called it. Actually, I can pull that up and chat real quick. It's pretty cool. It's got some really, really weird timing changes in it. A lot of 5/4 and 4/4 alternating. So it basically works out to being 9/4. So it's very interesting. It's not something you're going to be able to sit there and like groove to because, I mean, that's by design. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it is. It's got a beat to it, but it's weird, as music should be, I think. I'm not a big fan of 4/4 times music because it occurred to me one day that the entire way that whole thing about that 1, 2, 3, 4 was slave labor. You know, and that sort of menial task where like building the Great Pyramid immediately comes to mind. You know, that was how they built it on those counts of 4s. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I would assume that same kind of technique is used in voluntary labor.
I would assume so, but and you know there is a point to be made that it's more innate than that. And the reason that we took that 4 beat was because music is weird, right? There is, and I don't want to get into most of this, but there is something weird about music. The 5th tone is aesthetically pleasing in and of itself, right? It's not cultural programming or anything like that. It just sounds good. It harmonizes with the natural human harmonies of the human body and one's internal vibrations. It's curious that this happens, right? And music is a way of doing that. And this is why things like 5/4 time and 7/8 time, especially when played with like dissonant chords like a flatted 5th and things like that, they have very noticeable effects. They sometimes make people uncomfortable. And I'm still not seeing it. What did I call it? Oh, it's an Armored, Unarmored, Unarmed. That's the name of the song I'm currently working on. And joined, as you heard, by...
Nobody.
Okay, fair enough. It's so weird to me being here at 3 o'clock. That is so annoying. It's so weird to me being here at 3 o'clock doing a show because every part of my body is telling me that it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon now. But it's Sunday, and that's just making things so much more confusing. In time, I will get used to it, but you've got to remember that for a year and a half now, I did a daily show Monday through Friday at 4 o'clock p.m. every single day. And now I'm actually going to be off work 2 days a week. Except I'm not off work because there's still Free Talk Live to do on Monday nights, but that tends to go by pretty quickly. It's not a big thing. You know, I'll be here for 3 hours doing Free Talk Live. It's not 6 hours of radio at the very least. Or 7 when you add in the archiving times, because it was basically from 3:30 in the afternoon until about 10:30 at night. So it was about 7 hours a day. And that was my off day. Still involving 7 hours worth of work. But Tuesday's just completely off now. Don't have to worry about getting Chris in here to host the show. Just have to be off work. I don't even know how to be off work anymore. I can't remember the last time I was just off work.
Weren't you off work last night when you got off?
Yeah, after working a 10-hour shift.
Okay.
I don't know if
This
that
is
counts as being... technically, yes, I was not on the clock, but I was very tired and very, very sweaty and gross from having... something is broken inside that building, and as a result, it was 98 degrees in there all night long. Now, when I went outside to smoke at like 1:30 in the morning, it was 63 degrees outside. I went back in, and it was seriously 30 degrees hotter inside that place. It was unbearably hot, and we did this for 10 hours last night.
You might want to alert your manager to the existence of fans.
I did. We can't have fans. It's a health code violation. Yeah. I was like, look, just send a driver to my house and have them get that portable air conditioner. We can fix this. This is a solvable problem. But no, it's a health code violation.
Wow.
Yeah. Very, very unfortunate. And there are other, we have the huge floor unit, right? The one that, central
How do you
air.
make pizza 98 degrees
Rich,
without sweating on
We
the
don't
pizza?
give that much detail about what I do.
Oh.
It's just another job that I have to do.
Okay.
But I think most people do know that it involves pizzas to some degree. But yeah, so it was, I think Ian probably noticed it when he stopped by yesterday to get something to eat. It's so hot in there. And smoky, to make matters worse. Our eyes burned all night long. It was absolutely unpleasant. Nobody had a good time. But of course, I mean, we did have a good time because that's how it is. Shout outs to Colby. I'm not going to say his last name. Tonight is his last night with us, and that sucks because he's a great guy. I'm really going to miss him. He's been really awesome. He's leaving to go to the Air Force, actually, which causes so much dissonance for me that I don't even know how to begin addressing it. I tend to just ignore it because he is not a bad person, not by any means. And he agrees with almost everything I've ever said about the government and the military. So for him, it's much more about, pragmatism than it is. He's also a nihilist and an atheist and an evolutionist or natural selectionist, as I would characterize it, a Nietzschean for all intents and purposes, except I don't think he's ever actually read Nietzsche. So he's not an idiot by any means. He's a very smart guy. And he's going to join the Air Force. And he knows exactly what he's doing, and he isn't 100% okay with it, but one has to do what one has to do, I suppose. So, of course, after work, as we do on every Sunday, we're going to the bar. Last Sunday was really interesting because there was this drunk dude out there who wanted to charge his phone at the bar. But this wasn't all he wanted to do. He didn't have a phone charger. There are outlets throughout every bar in New Hampshire, throughout every store in New Hampshire. This is a college town. They know how this works, right? College kids come in all the times with phones that are like 7% and they need to charge them. They don't mind as long as you're a paying customer. But this guy not only didn't have a charger, but didn't have any money to buy a drink in the first place. He just wanted to come in, borrow some bartender's charger, and charge his phone for a while. Now, ordinarily at my other job, we would actually allow this because we're nice. We're not dealing with people who are drunk. Well, actually, yeah, we are, but we're also very nice. And at some point, he went outside and started a fight with someone. And this was right when the bar was closing anyway. Well, the state troopers showed up at that moment. And I had driven last Sunday, of course, because I was back to driving, because I found a nice little back road avenue to take to get home that kept me off of the main roads, which weren't going to be visited by state troopers, which until Monday was, I believed, the sole police force that was stalking me. I since learned that could not possibly have been true. I didn't even finish that story. Okay, so the whole freaking reason I was pulled over was, for one, my license plate light is out. Two, my blinker, and I'm not making this up, my blinker was blinking too fast. Now, I know, let me stop you there. I have been told dozens of times that this means one of the bulbs is going bad. I get it. I understand. But it was blinking. That's the key fact here. Okay? It was blinking. It was 100% functioning. That's the key thing here. He pulled me over for having a 100% functioning blinker light. I don't care that it might go out today. At that time, it was going just fine.
Generally, that actually indicates that the other light is already out.
It doesn't matter. I didn't make a right turn, so he can't prove that. But I will certainly look into that. At any rate, the one that I used, it absolutely did blink. There's a little bit more to get into because it's a little bit more stupid than that. This is the call to freedom. Sorry.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live.
What's the difference between a stoplight and a school bus?
A stoplight is a light, and a school bus is a school bus.
Full of children. And
right. So
the
light doesn't have any kids in it.
That's what you call a derelict, educated derelict.
Yeah,
you gotta come out of Harvard.
I'm really not a derelict. I work for a living.
You are an educated derelict. Well,
Barbara,
you know what?
I agree with
Have fun,
you.
Play your game.
No.
You're a
Because I'll tell you
fornicator,
what,
Mark.
When
Barbara.
you pass that next red light, I sure hope they get you good. And I
Barbara,
hope you don't kill anybody.
I'm agreeing with you.
Oh, she hung up on you, Mark.
But I agree with you, Barbara. I was telling you that I agree with you except for the stoplight thing.
Children, Mark. There's children around. At every red light, you could possibly kill someone.
This, by the way, gentlemen.
If you would run a red light at 3 in the morning when there's no traffic as far as the eye can see, then you would just as soon run over a school bus and kill all the kids inside.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
Welcome back to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. As always, you're invited to give us a call. That number is 603-283-6160. Again, that's 603-283-6160. Or you can use the Discord call-in lines, which you can find at discord.lrn.fm. Now, as we were talking about prior to the break, I was pulled over by a keen police officer at like 11 o'clock-ish at night, somewhere around there, for having a license plate light that was out. In fact, that vehicle does not have a license plate light at all. I'm going to have to manually add one, which isn't a big deal. It'll cost me like $5 and take like 10 minutes for me to do. It's just not, I didn't even know it was required. So I that was just not on my radar whatsoever. And for having a blinker that was blinking too fast. Now, neither of those things did I get ticketed for. And that's what really reveals this whole thing to be the farce that it is. You know, they pulled me over in the real world for having an expired license plate and for driving on an expired license, which they knew of. That was the real reason why they pulled me over. And this crap about the license plate light being out and the blinker being too fast are it's just excuses. It's just a way for them to have plausible deniability about having stalked me for the last 6.5 months for driving on an expired registration.
Well, they can pull you over just for driving on expired registration.
Yes, but when asked, and this is on video, when asked why they pulled me over, it was not for expired registration. It was because my license plate light was out. And they're on video saying this and saying that my blinker was also blinking too fast, which, mechanical stuff aside, is the dumbest thing I have ever been pulled over for. So at some point, while Ian was there filming it, we lost his video, by the way, and that's unfortunate because it was much higher quality than what I have available. But at some point during this...
How'd you lose it?
I didn't. He thought he had copied it before he wiped his SD card, but it turned out he hadn't copied it, so he erased it, basically.
That happens.
Yeah, it does. So, during the course of this conversation, the cop, again, said something like, your blinker is blinking too fast, and this made it to the Facebook live stream, where I said, isn't that what they're supposed to do? And his look, his expression, his whole character as he stood there having no idea how to respond to my question is absolutely priceless. He just stood there with his hands on his hips looking around like freaking Gomer Pyle or something. Like yes, that is what they're supposed to do. Is there some sort of regulation that says my blinker can only blink at X frequency? Is that what we're dealing with here? Is there some law that says my blinker cannot blink more than twice a second? What are we dealing with here that caused you? And of course, Ian had questions for him about the differences between an inhabitant and a resident. And again, I screwed up. It's so difficult.
Stop that.
I know. It's so difficult when you're pulled over to remember that you don't have to answer these assholes' questions. It's so difficult to remember to do that. You do not have to answer their questions. There should really be some sort of practice scenario, because once you're in there, all of that sort of libertarian ideology, it tends to fly out of one's head, right? Because you're dealing with that particular moment. You're in a bad situation. You're not 100% sure exactly what's going on and how to deal with it. So all of that stuff, like, I don't have to answer this guy's questions, it's not in your head. Of course, I didn't answer anything except stuff that was pertinent to what had happened. I explained how the car had been sold to the Shire Free Church Holdings, and I explained what was going on with the registration there. He did not seem to understand the whole concept of a corporation owns the car. That was really bizarre how much time it took to explain that.
Yeah, I got a lot of practice doing the cop thing when I painted the anarchy signs on my retired police car.
I bet.
And then drove around Manchester for several months. And it, there were a lot of really fun encounters. Like I get pulled over with this girl and it's like 3 a.m. And I pulled into a parking lot and into a parking space so that if they did by chance arrest me, they wouldn't be able to impound the car.
Right.
And they got very upset about that.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, but the thing is, you get better at the
I'm sure
how to handle them with practice, and that's one of the practical reasons for cop blocking.
That's true. I still think there should be some sort of training thing, really, where libertarians, liberty activists just pull each other over in quotation marks at random and attempt to give them the business. Of course, there's no real threat there, but
there used to be a guy named Barsky. This was years ago. This was 2009. I haven't seen him in about 5 years, but he did things called Pimp My Activism, where we would role play things that could happen with police and how to deal with them, and how not to say the wrong thing and get yourself arrested. Yeah. And that's something that maybe should come back.
I think so. I think that would be a really good service. He asked me how long I had lived here, and I almost answered.
As a matter of fact, wouldn't it be interesting if we started offering a daily hour-long class on...
I'm not interested in a daily anything right now.
Okay, then not a daily, but... Well, let me get to the point before you worry about the trivia. It would be interesting to start offering a class on some kind of... like how to deal with police, almost like a martial arts class for just common people who are afraid when they get pulled over and don't know what to say to police when they get pulled over. That could be a really useful program for somebody like Cop Block to pick up, I think.
I agree. I think it would be extremely useful because, it's just like any other training. You just sort of have to do it to know how to respond when that situation comes up. And at that point, you don't have to think about it. You just have to rely upon your training. That's why EMTs and soldiers and all of these and cops, for example, actively train. It's so that they know how to handle these sorts of encounters when they come up, and they don't have to stop to think about what to do. They just rely on their training.
Yeah.
And I'm not trained to interact with police officers. So when that sort of situation happens and somebody asks me a question, the natural thing for me to do is to answer that question. But you don't have to. And you shouldn't answer that question. Luckily, Ian was there and goes, you don't have to answer that. I was like, thank God I don't have to answer that. You're absolutely right. And I had totally forgotten that.
It's always easier for the guy who isn't on the spot, and it's also better. The more of their attention you can keep on the cop blockers, the less there is on you.
That's a good point. Cops, man, they are something else.
I got a story about that when we come back.
Awesome. Well, Rich has a story, so don't go anywhere. This is the Call to Freedom in our new time slot, 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sundays and Wednesdays. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM, broadcast as always from the Liberty Radio Studios here in Keene, New Hampshire. And we've been talking about cops and the absurd and ridiculous things that they get up to in the course of their piracy and harassment of peaceful citizens. Rich, you said you had a story.
Yes, I did. What led up to my saying that?
I have no idea. I was talking about the absurd things that cops were doing. And you said you had a story.
I did. We should have talked during the break about what it is.
So I think my dumbest experience with cops was probably just before I left Mississippi permanently. I was pulled over again by a state trooper. The stateies in Mississippi they have a reputation for being completely and totally without mercy and being complete and total jerks. I was pulled over for having a cracked windshield in a state that does not have an inspection sticker requirement, right? So there's no requirement on windshields whatsoever. And he pulled me over for having...
Well, that's not necessarily true. We had in Michigan, we had defective equipment tickets that you could get even though we didn't have inspections.
Well, I mean, my crack wasn't even that bad.
So I've heard.
So, anyway, he pulls me over, and I'm on my way to work, right? So I was dressed for work, and he tells me that he pulled me over, that I have to get my windshield replaced and all of this. And I looked, and he did not ticket me, right? Because he couldn't ticket me. I looked into it. I had attorney clients at the time. I also asked them about it. There was absolutely no law on the books about this.
Wow.
But he just made up a law and pulled me over in an attempt to pin something else on me. Probably trying to get me with driving without insurance or something like that. Of course, I had insurance at the time because that was a state requirement. And I had to get it to have my license reinstated from when the state of Mississippi wrongfully suspended it in the first place and then kept it suspended without a $1,700 fine being attached to it. The whole thing was just absolutely absurd from start to finish. Actually, no, all of that resulted, again, from expired plates. That wasn't even my fault. That actually wasn't. I literally could not get my license plate renewed because the address to which it was registered had a back garbage bill of about $300 because it was my sister's address. And they were like, well, it's not going to be a problem for us until we have to renew our tax, and we can use our tax money to get our tax renewed, so we can just pay that $300 garbage bill when we get our tax returns, right? Mm. And that was the address that my vehicle happened to be registered to.
Well, a lot of these things are kind of a war on being poor, or a war on being poor and driving. They basically, try to make it so that, as soon as you fall down anywhere, they can all, leap on you like vultures and take a piece.
Absolutely. That's ultimately what it became, because I was pulled over for having an expired license plate because my sister had a $300 something garbage bill that at the time I couldn't pay. I was running a business.
What does that have with you to do with your ability to drive?
Yeah, nothing whatsoever. Right. The whole thing is just absolutely absurd. And the tickets in Mississippi for driving on expired registration are a little bit worse than they are here in New Hampshire. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like $400 and something.
The tickets for what?
Driving on expired registration.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Mississippi is tough with its fines. Back when they did have an inspection sticker requirement, having it out of date was a $500 fine.
Well, Mississippi is very practiced in the art of enslaving people, so I can see how that would be.
Yeah. I mean, that's ultimately what it comes down to, is that they want to throw you into jail and enter you into the work program and get you out there picking up trash.
Yeah. And also make you afraid.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is when people are afraid.
Well, they barked up the wrong tree to try to make me afraid.
Unless they're us, and if you don't get afraid and you want to speak up, come to Keene.
The few times I was in a Mississippi court, they were some of the most jarring experiences I ever had, because it's not an all-white community by any means. In fact, Mississippi has the highest proportion of Black Americans out of any state in the entire U.S. It's something like 38% or something like that. So Black people, while still being a minority, are much less of a minority in Mississippi. The town I lived in happened to be like 70.1% Black. But the town in which all of these court trials happened was actually predominantly white. But going into the courthouse, it always struck me how I was the only white person there, and everyone else there was Black.
Oh, wow.
Every other defendant, every single time I went to court, was Black.
Wow.
And people are like, oh no, you're talking about this racism. We've proven, we've done studies. Cops aren't actually racist. Like, dude, I am from that world, dude. I've seen it. Mm. I have been in court and looked around. I was like, how could I possibly be the only white person in court in this town that has a population that's like 86% white? Yeah. Come on, man. Have you seen the prison populations in places like Michigan and Idaho and Ohio with relatively low black populations?
I've seen the jail population of Wayne County Jail in Michigan, also Washtenaw County Jail and Livingston County Jail.
I'm sure
from
it's the same story there.
And personally, yeah, it is not as much in Washtenaw County, which is Ann Arbor, but in Detroit, very heavily black. In Livingston County, very heavily black. Of course, those are also black majority areas. So it's not as or at least Wayne County is probably black majority area. That's
interesting.
That's Detroit proper. Livingston has some suburban areas, but I think racism is a factor in that. I think poverty is also a factor.
And we've talked about that before. If a cop, everybody is breaking the law. I think there were studies that recently, I think we talked about on Free Talk Live, that the average person spends like 3 hours they were mentioning 3 hours on a chat.
You're thinking 3 felonies a day?
It's 5 felonies a day.
Is it 5 now?
Yeah.
They must have been passing new more laws.
So the cops basically are presented with an option of who are we going to pull over and who are we not going to pull over. Well, if they have any sort of biases whatsoever, it's in that choice that you're going to find it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you end up with a courtroom filled with black people and one white person.
Mm-hmm. Well, that can certainly happen. I mean, I was in a...
hold on, Pekka Sniffer. I was driving on my car.
What?
And he's talking about civil disobedience, and I was driving my sister's car, who was too poor to pay for her bill or whatever, while my business was apparently nonprofit. My business was extremely profitable. That's how I paid these $1,700 fines in the first place. The issue was that I'm not paying my sister's bills for her when I shouldn't have to, in order to just keep my vehicle registered with the state. That's absolutely absurd. Nor is it my responsibility. And I didn't know that it was actually an issue until that whole thing was coming about. But I still had to do my job. I couldn't just sit at home going, gee, I hope my sister pays her garbage bill today. That's not the world that any of us have ever lived in. We are indeed on the air. But I mean, sometimes you have to do...
It might help if you read what he was saying on the air, because...
I did read what he said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, about my sister being too poor to pay her bills and I was driving her car. It was actually my car.
Oh, okay.
It just happened to be tied to that address. And that address had like a $300 garbage bill. Hey, what are you going to do? Some of us actually have to continue going about our lives, even if the government says we shouldn't. This is the call to freedom.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Did you know you can listen to LRN.FM via our free-to-air satellite channels? We have channels over nearly all of North America and much of Africa. All you need is an affordable receiver and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you are a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage maps and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm. sat.lrn.fm.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. Broadcast, as always, from the Liberty Radio studio here in Keene, New Hampshire. For those just tuning in, we've been talking about just various things that have been going on here in Keene, at least for me, and just dealing with police in general and the shenanigans that they get up to and trying to get to their quotas. You know, they like to pretend that they don't have quotas, but it seems to be pretty well established that, in fact, they do.
I think it varies from department to department, but the thing is they want to enforce their vision of what society should be. I think it's more than quotas. I think they're just, kind of the social justice warriors of the right.
Absolutely. I love all of those people who are like so anti-government, but they love their cops and their troops.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that in that if you come from a military family, you're going to have genuine affection for people who are in the military. And I have genuine affection for a lot of people who are or have been in the military.
Sure.
So the thing is, I do understand the military mindset where it's we've sworn an oath to do whatever it takes to defend the country, and now we're being ordered to do this, and it seems wrong to us, but that decision is above our pay grade. And having existed in a military environment, that's what you're supposed to think. That's what you're taught to think. That decision is political. It's above my pay grade.
Well, as Murray Rothbard observed, we all inherently sort of love our homeland. The land, the people, the culture. We love that. But it's the state's, it's the state's whole shtick that it has taken our love for our homeland and for the people and for the culture and for the environment and our love for one another and usurped that and twisted into a love for the nation. in order to misdirect all of our attachment, all of our feelings from this actual positive thing into this extremely destructive and negative thing.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the state as a corporation, and the state is a corporation, it's just a double O corporation with a license to kill. And so what does the state sell? The state sells safety.
Well, they say they do.
That's what they sell. It's not what they deliver, it's what they sell.
Well, then I would argue that means they're not selling it.
Okay. Well, the thing is, if you buy a car and somebody instead brings you a massive butt plug, you still bought the car, you just didn't receive it.
Yes, but the person didn't sell a car, they sold a butt plug that they were pretending was a car. Well, we're splitting hairs here. It's not important. Okay, stop. If you have not joined the Discord server at discord.lrn.fm, you absolutely have to, because they are having a really awesome conversation. Someone has asked, what would South Park do to me? Because South Park, I love the show, right? Singularity then says that, the answer would be LSD, boobs, LSD. I'm writing my 18th book, LSD, eyeshadow, LSD. Now, to be fair, I mention shrooms a lot more than I mention acid.
Okay.
So it should be shrooms, boobs, LSD. I'm writing my 18th book. Shrooms, eyeshadow, shrooms. That would be much more accurate. But, they're going on. It's a very amusing conversation, so definitely check it out. And, of course, we take calls there. And you get much clearer quality than you do when using the landlines at discord.lrn.fm. Definitely check it out. It's really awesome. Somebody is always chatting, and it's always interesting. It may not always be related to the show. Discordia is another goddess in Smite that we were talking about Smite earlier because I'm going to, now that I have more free time, I'm going to begin streaming it again. And Discordia is one of and the whole conversation came about because I'm like, hey, why don't I stream it to the LRND live channel instead of just my own channel that has, 0 followers because I don't do D live. And the game I play is Smite, of course, which actually has a goddess in it who is Discordia. You can play as her and do her thing.
Yep.
I have never
and there's
played
a whole Discordian religion.
I'm not surprised.
Yep. The Discordianism it's a religion of popes. Everybody in the religion is the pope of their own interpretation of Discordianism.
Interesting.
And so that way, there is no authority, and that's actually why my title at the church was originally Fried Friar, but I then changed it to Pope in reference to Discordianism.
Interesting. So it's been a weird week for dealing with cops here in Keene, or dealing with cops in general. They're always up to something, whether they're arresting a woman for driving around in the Walmart parking lot in a scooter drinking wine out of a Pringles can. Swear to God, you cannot make this stuff up.
Peak white trash.
Man, absolutely. The only way it could have been better is if it had been one of the Walmart scooters and not like her own personal scooter.
Yeah, that would be a whole new dimension.
Like driving around, and if she had done it inside the store, that would have been better.
Not for her.
Just driving around the store, doing her shopping, drinking wine out of a Pringles can. It would have been priceless. But I don't know which is worse. That's pretty bad. But there was also the woman who ate half of a cake inside Walmart, and it was like, I don't want to pay for the half I didn't eat.
Right. What I want to know was this a quality complaint? Was it an awful cake? In which case, she might have had a point.
It couldn't have been too awful. She ate half of it. And I don't know what they
some
didn't
of
say.
These people will take half a cake in a single mouthful.
Well, the kind of person who's large enough to need a scooter to ride around the Walmart parking lot drinking wine out of a Pringles can probably could eat half of a cake in a single bite.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So maybe these were like entangled molecules.
Well, they seem the news is certainly trying to entangle them. Because you can't find one of these stories
now. They're caught in the news.
They're all related. Of course, Walmart, man. I tend to avoid Walmart whenever possible. And lately I found the only things I went there for like the last 6 months for was kitty litter and cat food. But I've since learned I can get those elsewhere. I pay more.
You didn't know you could get kitty litter and cat food anywhere else?
Here in Keene?
Yeah.
Where?
Grocery store, the feed store, the
more expensive.
let's see,
More
PetSmart.
expensive. More expensive.
Well, that doesn't mean there's nowhere else to go. That means other places are more expensive. It's not the
Which
same
is what
thing.
I said.
Oh, did you? I'm sorry.
I did point out they're more expensive, but you can get it or something like that. And I don't remember exactly how I phrased it, but sure.
So you found some places cheap as Walmart?
No.
No, yeah.
But not as expensive as like Petco or Hannaford's or whatever. Hannaford's may actually have cheaper kitty litter and cat food, but I don't feed my cats trash. So there's kind of a give and take there, especially in regard to the cat food. I don't want to feed them like a dollar bag of, 20 pounds per dollar. Yeah, 20 pound per dollar bag of cat food. My cats are worth more to me than that.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're going to have animals, you should feed them as best you can.
Yeah. Which is probably not Purina either, but good God, they absolutely love kitten chow. They're not kittens anymore, but don't tell them that.
Really?
Yeah, they don't want to hear it.
Yeah. Females?
One is female. Yeah, that's male.
You don't want to tell a female she's not a kitten anymore.
No, that's certainly not. Not
they
good.
get very catty.
Yeah, they do. So cops doing their BS, that's more or less been what I've been dealing with throughout the last week, except for last night when that random person just sort of stopped at 3 o'clock in the morning, about 12 and a half hours ago, to ask me if I wanted to get laid while I was walking home. To which I was like, no. And he drove off. And then I encountered just some random other person, like 10 minutes later, who happened to also be walking in the same direction, which is extremely coincidental. But it did turn out to be coincidental. They had a cute little dog with them. I felt so bad for the dog. And, it wasn't so much the dog and the fact that the dog was walking a great distance, because that does suck.
Dogs like to walk.
Not that far. They don't like to walk 4.5 miles.
I don't know. I've seen I've seen a dog cover 4.5 miles in the space of like 1/10 of an acre, just running around in circles.
I guess. Anyway, this is the Call to Freedom. Don't go anywhere. There's stuff to get into, and we're going to actually get into it. There's the LGBT community just sort of working on ripping itself apart, and that's certainly something that needs to be discussed. This is the Call to Freedom. We'll be back in just a moment.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
More of the Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,409, silver at $15.24, and Bitcoin is trading around $10,812. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high-availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at innoscale.net. In the news, in a decision that voting rights advocates warned would open the floodgates for even more extreme and undemocratic redistricting than what is already in place throughout the nation, the Supreme Court effectively condoned partisan gerrymandering on Thursday by ruling that the practice is beyond its constitutional reach. The Mind Unleashed reports the ruling was 5-4 along party lines, with conservative Chief Justice John Roberts writing the majority opinion. Slate legal journalist Mark Joseph Stern tweeted Thursday that the High Court's ruling is the, quote, nightmare scenario for voting rights advocates, end quote. Frida Levinson, legal director at ACLU of Ohio, said the Supreme Court's ruling will allow the practice of gerrymandering to continue, to flourish, and to evade review by the judicial system, and leaves redistricting in the hands of those who will continue to abuse their awesome power whenever they can to defeat the will of the voters. In a scathing dissent, liberal Justice Elena Kagan accused the High Court's 5 conservative judges of abdicating their constitutional duties, quote, just when the courts across the country, including those below, have coalesced around manageable judicial standards to resolve partisan gerrymandering claims, end quote. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, and believes so strongly in the power of kratom, they're giving it away for free. Just go to freeounceofkratom.com for a free ounce of kratom delivered to your door. Just pay shipping. That's freeounceofkratom.com. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Find us online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. Your news now continues. Twitter, on Thursday, announced it would suppress President Trump's tweets going into the 2020 election by downranking those which violate their rules via algorithms. Offensive material from the President of the United States will also receive a label that applies to all verified political candidates and government officials with over 100,000 followers. According to the Washington Post, before users can view the language in newly flagged tweets, they will need to click on a screen that says the Twitter rules about abusive behavior apply to this tweet. However, Twitter has determined that it may be in the public's interest for the tweet to remain available. The Mind Unleashed reports Twitter will deprioritize the labeled tweets so they would be seen by fewer people, which adds that the policy will go into effect immediately and will not apply to other influencers and leaders. It's also not retroactive. A Brazilian Air Force pilot who was one of the crew members on their way to serve as the advance guard for Brazil President Bolsonaro during the forthcoming G20 summit in Osaka, was arrested during a stopover in Seville en route to Japan, after Spanish customs officers discovered enough cocaine on him to fuel a small Wall Street bank's party for a month, in what has become an international embarrassment for Bolsonaro, who is known as Brazil's Trump and also the country's self-professed law and order president. The Mind Unleashed reports a 38-year-old airman appeared in court Wednesday on charges of drug trafficking after Spanish officials discovered 37 packets of cocaine weighing a total of 39 kilos in baggage. Officers from Spain's Guardia Civil took the crew member into custody, and a police spokesman in Seville said the whole bag was filled with drugs. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
Tensions in Washington, D.C. reached a new high yesterday as several dozen members of Congress took a class of visiting school children hostage, barricaded themselves inside the Capitol Rotunda, and demanded $12 trillion in cash. The children were rounded up at gunpoint, whereupon the House Speaker informed negotiators that one child would die every hour unless their demands were met. Here now, a brief video one of the students was able to send out from inside the Capitol.
Nobody move, you're all gonna die! This kid's got a phone.
Historians across the country politely reminded Americans this week to quickly check and see what has happened in the past before making any big decisions.
Just take any book with history in it and then quickly skim through it to see what decisions in the past turned out to be bad. And then once you've pinpointed them, simply don't make those same decisions again. Because if a bad thing happened again, you see, that would be very bad indeed, wouldn't it?
This is the Onion News Network.
Welcome back. This is The Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. As always, I'm your host, Aria DeMezzo, author of Beyond Words and Labels, which is coming out in about 2 more weeks. So be sure to check that out then.
And I'm the nobody formerly known as Rich Paul.
And as we predicted at Forkfest, when we covered it on Free Talk Live, the state powers, the institutions that be, are coming for cryptocurrency. This is not a surprise to us, right? Cryptocurrency was created as a mechanism for breaking the shackles with which they've bound us. And they did not like that one bit. Just like the slave masters of the South in the 18th and 19th centuries, they would like to do everything they can to keep us subservient, dependent, and obedient.
Yep.
And we're not inclined to be any of those things. But it's not just Libra, the new, quote, cryptocurrency being offered by Facebook. Evidently, central banks are planning to create digital currencies. And it's got a really, really fat dude here. I mean, he's an amorphous blob of human tissue. This is This is the representative of the central banks that they have chosen to represent this article. Coming to us from FT.com, that's FinancialTimes.com. Global central banks Global central banks may have to issue their own digital currencies sooner than expected, the general manager of the Bank for International Settlements has said, after Facebook recently unveiled plans to create its own stablecoin. Now, the Facebook coin is not actually a stable coin, because this is dependent upon the money that Facebook actually has deposited into their accounts.
Is it?
Yes.
So it's pretty much a pool coin.
More or less. It's dependent. Wow. Its value is going to be dependent upon how much money Facebook has. Facebook is backing the currency with the money they have in the bank. So It could fluctuate as Facebook gets more money or as Facebook loses money. So Augustus Carstens, who heads the BIS, known as the Central Bankers Bank, which is alarming. I've never even heard of this bank. The Bank for International Settlements, I've never heard of it.
Oh, yeah, it's been out there for a long time.
Well, I don't doubt that whatsoever. I just never heard of it. It's one of those shadowy banks. You know, you have the World Bank doing its thing out there in the open, but then you have the Bank for International Settlements that handles the larger, more global side of things, it would seem. He told the Financial Times that the organization supported the efforts of the world's central banks in creating digital versions of state currencies. Shocking. And why would anyone want this? Do you want a U.S. dollar coin?
Why would anyone want this? Well, for one thing, it will undoubtedly be acceptable for taxes, which makes it useful in the same way that the U.S. dollar is useful. If you give the government,
you could also just not pay taxes.
If you give the government enough U.S. dollars, then they won't kill you. And a lot of people don't want to be killed by the government and don't want to be kidnapped and enslaved by the government. And so, there's if you want to pay off the extortionist, then there are advantages, I'm sure, to doing it with a digital version of the dollar.
Sure. Or you could just exclusively use something like Zcash, in which case they don't know how much money you have. They have no way of finding out how much money you have.
Well, you could, but how do you live exclusively off Zcash? I mean, do enough places take Zcash that you could meet all of your needs that way?
Possibly. There are not directly, right? You would have to make a lot of your purchase using some of these third-party facilitators, like we have with video games now, where you can find them. You can buy video games with Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Dash. I think even Monero is listed there. Of course, Valve no longer accepts cryptocurrency. They did accept Bitcoin briefly, but they no longer do because the fees were too high for people.
They should have switched to Bitcoin Cash.
They certainly should have. Absolutely.
Oh, well.
But also, Domino's doesn't directly take Bitcoin, but you can order pizza with Bitcoin from Domino's by using something on the Lightning Network. I don't remember exactly what. But there's also Purse.com or Purse.io, where you can buy things with cryptocurrency from Amazon for all intents and purposes. I think that's the first step that we're actually going to see toward other companies directly taking cryptocurrency. They're going to see how much money they could be making directly by cutting out the middleman, and eventually they will just cut out the middleman. And you'll be able to give Amazon and Domino's and Valve and all of these other companies cryptocurrency directly. That's what I think is ultimately going to happen. But for now, maybe not with Zcash. You could probably get it to happen with Zcash if you had enough of it, that you had that sort of sway. But you could probably get, there's also a way to buy hardware from Home Depot using cryptocurrency. So
really?
It's not exactly uncommon, these third-party sites that facilitate this sort of purchase. I imagine many of them would be more than happy to support Zcash if you could either A, code it for them, or B, you had enough money that it was going to be profitable for them to support it. Because Zcash is one of the relatively unutilized cryptocurrencies out there. Okay. Right? It's not Bitcoin Cash, it's not Dash, it's not Bitcoin.
Okay. Well, I guess the simplest way to put it is, why would people trade in a digital U.S. dollar for the same reason they use credit cards?
Why use either?
Well, a lot of people make that choice.
I know, but why? Why make that choice? That's ultimately...
Well, they make that choice because everybody else has made that choice, and therefore they know that they can get absolutely anything they want for dollars any time or place in the United States, and that it will never be a hassle. Can I use my credit card, or can I use my dollars here?
That wasn't always the case, though, especially in the early days of credit and debit card adoption. It was relatively rare for you to be able to use your card at a place, but people still took it on.
Yeah, but then the alternative to using a credit card was, using nothing.
Well, using cash.
Well, using cash, but so yeah, when the first alternative to cash came out, there was no other alternative. Now there are two alternatives. There are credit cards and there are digital currencies. One is massively better market penetration, or has massively better market penetration. And
yeah, but the point I'm getting at is that it didn't always have that market penetration. It started with one business somewhere being willing to accept credit cards and debit cards, and people being willing to use those credit cards and debit cards until people were like, hey, this is super convenient. This needs to spread. So they told their friends and family, the other business told other businesses, and it just sort of spiraled. And I think that's what we're ultimately going to see.
I think probably that's the case, but I think during that period, for some period of time, people will be using state-issued cryptos to pay their taxes and to pay for other things because, it's another option and it may well be more attractive than credit cards.
The issue that I see is that Walmart or some other store is not going to be particularly inclined to take Zcash when they can instead take dollar cash or dollar coin.
That's true, but if there are exchanges where you can go back and forth between Zcash and dollar coin easily, then that saves you the trouble of schlepping cash around when you want to buy Bitcoin.
That's true.
Because if you have dollar income, it would be better to get it in digital form and be able to directly trade it for some other crypto than to
Sure, but the question is, can a person live exclusively using Zcash or Monero or even Bitcoin Cash?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is not at this moment, probably not. And possibly not going forward. It will depend on Walmart and other corporations' willingness to accept non-official currencies.
I would say that you can do it, but it would take a level of effort that would render it a stunt and not a lifestyle.
Yeah, excellent point. Well, this is the Call to Freedom. Don't go anywhere. There's more to talk about in regard to these central banks and their plans to squeeze out actual cryptocurrencies. We'll be back in just a moment.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
A local man feels even lazier when he thinks about how much ISIS has accomplished this year. A police officer doesn't see a difference between black and light-skinned black suspects. And a weak-willed termite eats a whole log in one sitting. Barreling forward on our campaign towards truth and righteousness, this is the Onion Week in Review. A new report released this week revealed that more parents than ever are relying on grandparents to help up their kids. The report's authors noted that in order to make ends meet, many budget-conscious parents in the U.S. have allowed their own parents to step in and deliver the same level of emotional neglect they would like to apply, adding that for many working adults, this arrangement was the only way to ensure their children were adequately belittled and ignored. In other news, Busch Gardens unveils their new 9,600-mile-long endurance coaster. A documentary provides a scathing indictment of the director's filmmaking skills, and a man brings his son into the office to see where dad is emasculated.
This is the Onion News Network.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Would you like to hang out with Penn Jillette? He's keynoting Freedom Fest this year. I, for one, am thrilled. Freedom Fest is the largest liberty-oriented gathering in the world. They take a Big Ten approach with libertarians, conservatives, liberals, anarchists, and just open-minded people mingling together to hear real debates, share real solutions, and converse freely. This year's theme is the Wild West, a time of liberty and opportunity, or a time of anarchy and violence. Maybe both. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and get your tickets now. freedomfest.com/FTL. Not convinced yet? Hey, I understand. It's a high-end event, even with coupon code FTLEB. Sure, you're likely to receive investment advice that'll make that sum seem paltry, but I have something special for you. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and you'll get the 5 best speeches from last year for free. Call it a test drive. Do yourself a favor and go to freedomfest.com/FTL. freedomfest.com/FTL. Use coupon code FTLEB for a discount.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. And as always, you're invited to give us a call. That number is 603-283-6160. Again, that's 603-283-6160. Or you can use the Discord call-in lines, which you can find at discord.lrn.fm. Now, we've been talking about the rise of the corporate coin, the rise of the state coin. Many central banks evidently are actively working on one. And they're saying that it might be sooner that we think that there is a market, and we need to be able to provide central bank digital currencies. Obviously, that's what they think. They don't want to relinquish control of our lives that they have so delicately worked out for themselves over the last century. But a number of central banks, including Sweden's Riksbank, are working on their own versions of digital currencies. I prefer referring to these sort of things as digital currencies because I don't think they're going to meet the standards of what I consider to be a cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how you define it, but yeah, I'm quite sure that it will not feature things like decentralized mining that anybody can do. I'm sure they'll keep very tight control.
Absolutely. Well, Facebook's Libra coin requires a $10 million investment in order to run a node of the Libra coin. So I would imagine with the central bankers, it would be even worse, where they simply wouldn't sell it to you. Well, they probably would. If you were one of these mega banks like Bank of America or something like that, they probably would.
Well, sure, if you can get into George Carlin's club.
Yeah. So central bankers, including Mr. Carstens, have been dismissive of the first wave of cryptocurrencies, viewing the likes of Bitcoin and Ethereum as speculative instruments that cannot be described as money due to the volatility of their value against the most widely used state currencies like the USD and the euro.
I would say they can't be described as money because they're not universally acceptable.
Well, neither is the USD, really. It's more widely
acceptable. The USD is certainly universally acceptable in the United States. That's what legal tender laws are for.
Yeah, but are you arguing that we need a legal tender law in order for Bitcoin to be considered money?
No, I'm arguing that the definition of money is that commodity which is universally acceptable in trade in a given society. So
I dispute the usage of the word universally in that.
Okay, take it up with Rothbard.
I've taken up many things with Rothbard. Rothbard wasn't an economist, was he?
Huh?
He wasn't an economist, was he?
Yeah, that's what Murray Rothbard was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he was still wrong.
Oh, well, maybe. I mean, there were things that he was wrong about. I don't think you can say his definition of money was wrong because it's, his definition of money. So you can't say, no, you don't define it that way.
I will say that universally puts a threshold to it that nothing can reach. Even the USD.
Yeah, and I think you may be interpreting universally more broadly than he did.
Well, that's sort of what the word means.
I believe there was a scope to that statement, which was universally within a society. Like in the United States, dollars are universally accepted.
But they aren't. I have made a few purchases from people who would not have taken USD and who instead only wanted like Bitcoin Cash or something.
Yeah, and then you have to say what's universally is 90% enough, is 99% enough, is 99.9% enough. How many nines do you want?
I don't want any nines. I want to drop the word universally from the definition in the first place.
Well,
if I agree this thing has money and someone else agrees this thing has value, and someone else agrees this thing has value, then that to me makes that thing money if we use it as a facilitator of trade. And it doesn't matter to me whether or not other people agree. It should matter to me because I would want to be able to use this money elsewhere.
So I've gone through many a festival just wandering around trading people weed for the things that I need. Under your definition, is weed money?
Absolutely. Why wouldn't it be?
On my and in context, depending on the festival, you might be right, but at some point you're not talking about money, you're talking about barter. Okay.
Sure.
And there is a difference between money. The reason and barter.
The
difference between
increased willingness to accept it that is less contingent upon the needs of the person accepting would be the primary distinction. So even if the person you're dealing with didn't smoke weed, they knew that they would come across somebody who did smoke weed, and they could then offload it to them.
And enough people, like cigarettes become currency on the battlefield. And again, it's something that most people will accept even if they don't smoke, because they know that their buddy smokes and they can trade it to him for something they do want.
Right.
And so that's in some contexts, weed is money. Weed is probably it's probably easier to go through life trading weed for things than trading silver coins for things in today's society.
To be fair, I'm not a big fan of the first wave of cryptocurrencies either. I hate Ethereum with a passion.
Why is that?
Because they opened ERC20 tokens too much, and the predictable result was predictable. You have the useless Ethereum token, uetoken.com. It was a completely useless Ethereum token. Absolutely no value whatsoever. Somebody created it in their spare time in 5 minutes, and then they held an ICO for it, and they made $500,000 by doing this.
Wow.
It's called useless Ethereum token.
So that's like the Dogecoin of Ethereum tokens?
No, because Dogecoin has some value. It's a very small value, but useless Ethereum token has no value whatsoever. Except in that people are willing to purchase it and trade it, which has given it its value. And that's the problem with Ethereum, is that you can make a useless Ethereum token and people will put value into it.
See, I have never encountered the programming language in which you can't write a useless program. As a matter of fact, I would say 99% of the programs written in any given programming language are going to be useless to me.
I would agree.
Somebody likes them.
But Ethereum has made this way too easy.
Well, you can
go
that's
online.
what you do.
No, that's not what you do with something like this, because you can go online and then
well, obviously it's what they did with something like this, so it's what somebody does with something like this. But the reason for that is looking at it as a software developer, they're trying to develop an ecosystem to see what works. They have no idea. They don't have hindsight. They wrote the code before they released it, not after. So they
should have known this result was going to happen.
Well, sure, and if they hadn't created a wide open chain, the next group of people would have created a wide open chain, and so the fact that there would be a wide open chain was inevitable when chains came into existence.
I don't disagree, but I don't think that justifies it. You know, if people were moral enough to we're not going to unleash this cesspool onto the world, then it would not have been released onto the world. This is the Call to Freedom. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a moment with more discussion about cryptocurrencies and why I hate Ethereum.
This is a special alert for business owners, consultants, coaches, folks planning retirement, entrepreneurs, and anyone who is saving and investing to build a financial future. You are likely aware that financial privacy for most people has recently died a miserable death. And let's face it, without privacy, there really is no security, is there? Bankrupt governments and banks on the verge of collapse are perhaps the biggest threat to your financial future today. The Lighthouse Law Club recognizes this and has been working diligently to provide safe, secure, and productive tools to ensure your privacy, your financial security, and your future financial well-being, despite the catastrophes which many people fear are looming ahead of us. Find out more with a variety of free videos on the YouTube channel for Lighthouse Law Club. Just search YouTube for Lighthouse Law Club and secure your future today.
Did you know you can legally exit the U.S. federal income tax system? Well, it's true, and thousands of American nationals are doing it. The 16th Amendment and the Internal Revenue Code are legal, but only in a limited jurisdiction. This is the basis behind the voluntary nature of the income tax. Learn the exit strategy provided by Congress. Find out more by visiting weissparis.com and watch our numerous videos. That's WEISS Paris.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what the readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. freedomsphoenix.com, constantly providing the information, the real news about government policies, and the real relationship we all have with the coercive government, the real condition of the economy, innovations in technology, breakthroughs in energy, health, and computer science. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media. The corporate media, nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but now there's an alternative. freedomsphoenix.com. Constant news updates on the issues that affect your life in the most important ways. With liberty and property under constant attack, freedomsphoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda, and it encourages the participation of its readers. Go to freedomsphoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, phoenix.com. freedomsphoenix.com. The revolution between the ears has already happened.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Oh,
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom. As always, you're invited to give us a call. Tell us what you think. 603-283-6160. Now, we've been talking about cryptocurrencies and the banking institutions of the world attempting to, what I believe is, cling to the power that they have over our lives. Facebook's plans to create Libra Evidently, according to Financial Times, a stable coin with its value pegged to a basket of as of yet unspecified currencies backed by as yet unspecified assets have attracted attention from officials. That's a lot of as yet unspecified. It's also conflicting with the most recent reports about the Libra cryptocurrency, which is that cryptocurrency, that is going to be backed by Facebook's deposits, which may in fact be in numerous different state currencies.
And probably are. I mean, that was my understanding, is that it was going to be a basket of that it was supposed to be a stable coin against a basket of currencies.
That was what the initial articles said.
And I pointed out to Ian what the problem was with that is, okay, well, what if all of a sudden the Deutschmark goes really high and everybody starts saying, okay, I want to pull out all my Facebook currency into Deutschmarks. Well, if Facebook doesn't actually have that many Deutschmarks, they've got to go trade some other currency for them. And so they're going to have problems keeping their portfolio matched with their basket is what they would have to do, and that's going to be an expensive thing to do.
Well, the BIS said in an extract on digital currencies taken from its annual report that coins backed by tech giants, that coins backed by tech giants could rapidly establish a dominant position in global finance and pose a potential threat to competition, stability, and social welfare. Oh no. The horror. We might have a free currency? It's certainly not a threat to competition. That's absolutely insane. The threat to competition is the legal tender, as characterized by the United States government, that has actually gone in and destroyed currencies being built by townships in the United States.
Yeah. I mean, are we FCC at this point? Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, the U.S. dollar is garbage. If you look at what it's done over the last 100 years, it's dropped to 4% of its original value against gold, even while gold has fallen out of use as a monetary currency.
Yeah.
So this is a huge, huge drop in value. A quarter today buys what a penny would have bought 100 years ago when the Federal Reserve was founded as a currency, and their stated mission is to protect the value of the U.S. dollar. So if you want a profile in courageous failure, that's it.
That absolutely is it. And it amazes me that anyone continues to prefer the USD over just about any other kind of currency. Now look, I'm not sure what the exact number is over the last 10 years, but the value of the USD has certainly gone down in the last 10 years. Compare that to the value of Bitcoin over the last 10 years.
Well, the reason that somebody might prefer the dollar to Bitcoin at the moment is
because the dollar is actually anonymous?
Well, there were times when I was in the weed business that somebody would want to pay in crypto, and I would say, I can't do that because my guy won't take it, and I have to go buy more weed. And if I can't do that from crypto, then I'm limited in how much trade I can do in crypto.
Sure.
So that's a liquidity issue. And, you know, if we had more places where you could buy and sell crypto for cash at the counter, that would change a lot. If more vendors would say, "Hey, I'll buy you, I'll trade crypto with you or exchange crypto with you at the counter of my store," back and forth.
We don't even have to go to a brick and mortar store for that, though. I mean, there are things like local.bitcoin.com and local bitcoins, and if you must sell your soul, Coinbase, or preferably Kraken or some other exchange.
Well, all of those things have issues. Local Bitcoin to do a.
You mean local Bitcoins or local.bitcoin?
Well, either one of them would be sketchy for a subset of users, in that they don't want to meet somebody personally.
You don't
of course,
have to meet them personally.
they could do a PayPal transaction or whatever, but
or a bank
that
deposit,
has its own,
or a
own issue.
money order, or MoneyGram, rather. There are countless ways. Or pay with another cryptocurrency. But there are certainly ways to send people USD in order to purchase cryptocurrency from them without meeting them in person. They just vary by risk. Even Western Union is possible. The very first cryptocurrency I ever bought was purchased by sending like a $530 money order to Tel Aviv, Israel.
So if you could buy and sell crypto out of the till at the corner news, though, the risk of that's zero, right? Because, Roberta's she's a cool chick. She's not gonna be a problem. And people seeing that happen are going to say, "Oh, wow." People.
Well, she's got a Bitcoin ATM in there.
Yeah,
I don't know how much more open to it she could be. I mean,
she's extremely open to it.
I know
only thing that I'd like to see is having people able to trade the other way too.
That's an issue with the Bitcoin ATM owners. You are correct. None of the ATMs we have here in Keene will buy Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And that's occasionally problematic.
And that's the thing, is that's one of the things that would make people say, well, I'm going to keep $1,000 in US dollars around, because if I have all my money in Bitcoin and I have an immediate $1,000 expense, it might take me a little while to liquefy it.
But that's the present. I'm more interested in the future and how all of this can play out going forward.
Was the word I was looking for. Sorry about that.
Right. I mean, going forward, I think it would be the case that you will be able to pay your electricity bill, your hospital bills, and all of that in some sort of cryptocurrency.
I think that's true as well. I think it's very unlikely that currency will be Bitcoin.
Oh, I'm positive it won't be Bitcoin. It might be Bitcoin
it
Cash.
might pass through a time of being Bitcoin, but I don't think in the distant future, I don't think we're going to be using version 1.0 of the concept. That doesn't make much sense.
No, I don't see Bitcoin surviving this wave of institutional cryptocurrencies. I just don't see it having the momentum and the strength to withstand them. And that's why they're talking about, we're running out of time. This has to happen sooner rather than later, because as Bitcoin gets stronger, their ability to undermine it by releasing the dollar coin is severely hampered until it gets to a point where they know that it's too late. We can't actually defeat Bitcoin. It's here to stay. And we don't like it, but we dropped the ball too long. And we may already be to that point. But I think as it stands right now, if there was a Fed coin or a USD coin or whatever, and Walmart and all of these other corporations that we frequent quite regularly actually accepted it, then this would make them less open to the possibility of accepting Bitcoin, especially with the government's propaganda being put out there constantly about how Bitcoin is used by drug dealers and terrorists.
Well, so are dollars.
Well, yeah, so are dollars, but they conveniently ignore that reality.
Yeah.
That's not... I mean, every dollar bill that we've ever touched probably had Coke on it at some point.
Some of the ones I touched had a lot of Coke on them at some point, but it dwindled during the night.
Yeah, so I think what we're likely to see is that they'll become less and less open to the possibility of accepting other cryptocurrencies because of that propaganda technique being waged against Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. This is the call to freedom.
Free speech is protected on the internet, right? Not always. Government agencies try to limit free speech and commerce on the net. Luckily, when they do, the Institute for Justice is there to defend your First Amendment right to free speech. IJ helped set the first federal precedent for internet free speech in 1999, and ever since has worked to prevent unconstitutional roadblocks in cyberspace. Visit our website today at ij.org.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Did you know you can listen to LRN.FM via our free-to-air satellite channels? We have channels over nearly all of North America and much of Africa. All you need is an affordable receiver and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you are a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage maps and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm. sat.lrn.fm.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Welcome back to the Call to Freedom. And if you really like the show, would like to show your support, then be sure to check us out at patreon.com/call to freedom. Our wonderful sponsors there are currently helping to keep the show up and running, and we can't thank them enough for their support. Once more, that's call to freedom. So many URLs. It's patreon.com/call to freedom. Now, as promised briefly, it's not a topic I really wanted to get into extensively, so I saved it to the very last part of the show. New York leads pride parades as LGBTQ activists are debating the state of the movement. And apparently, the LGBTQ community is just sort of arguing with itself about who is victimized the worst. Presumably, that's what I'm assuming they're doing, because that's what they tend to do. So, New York's massive LGBTQ Pride March kicked off Sunday. Is this a multi-day march then?
I don't know. It seems like they'd get tired after a while. But hey, they do it in New Orleans.
They do. Other U.S. cities, including San Francisco, Chicago, and Seattle, were also hosting parades commemorating the 50th anniversary of the clash between police and patrons of the Stonewall Inn that sparked the modern gay rights movement.
Did you say parades?
Did I say parade?
You said parades.
Oh, well.
Sorry. Go ahead.
What's interesting to me about this is that there was no mention of Stonewall last year or the year prior or the year prior to that. The Stonewall thing is just for this year. And now suddenly people are like, oh no, all of the LGBT marches have been about Stonewall. Well, you never freaking mentioned it until this year, which it is. It's 50th anniversary. But let's call a spade here. And I realize the trans chick saying that is funny. But let's not pretend like all of the LGBTQ pride parades. And again, stop using the word protest and parade interchangeably. You can have a protest or you can have a parade. You cannot have both simultaneously.
You could have a parade in protest.
A parade, by definition, is a celebration. What are you celebrating if you're protesting? You're not celebrating. You're angry.
Celebrating your right to protest.
You're revolting. You're certainly not celebrating anything. So
I don't have any makeup on.
New York expected 150,000 people to parade, with hundreds of thousands more lining the streets to watch. And again, they are calling this crap protest. A smaller queer liberation march started at 9:30 a.m. at the Stonewall Inn, where patrons resisted a police raid in 1969, sparking the modern gay rights movement. They headed to Central Park for a rally. Organizers said the larger Pride event had become too commercialized and too heavily policed. I agree, there should not be cops at Pride, except as brick targets. The annual Pride Parade has become a bloated, over-policed circuit party stuffed with 150 corporate floats. The Reclaim Pride Coalition said in a statement, "This does not represent the spirit of Stonewall in this 50th anniversary year." Brendan Frey, a civil rights activist who successfully fought a years-long battle for LGBT inclusion in the New York St. Patrick's Day Parade, said that he would participate in both marches. Now, is this the whole Irish people don't allow gay people in their parades thing? Is that the source of that? Because I missed all of that. Because I didn't care about it. And I don't care now. But I'm curious whether or not that's what sparked it.
I'm not sure exactly what happened in that case. I do not know.
I like seeing the awareness this year of people becoming aware that corporations are just pandering to them by slapping rainbow logos on their symbol. Oh, look, we like gay rights too. Even though, 10 years ago, they were firing people for being, trans or gay or whatever.
Well, isn't it an improvement that they're pandering instead of firing?
I suppose, but it's condescending in the same way that idiotic presidential candidate stood up there spouting Spanish. I don't want to be pandered to.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much subtlety and tact you expect from a corporation, but,
that's a good question.
To me, it's good that they're saying we don't discriminate against gay people anymore. And that's pretty much all the content I read into a rainbow flag. The rest is just fluff on either side.
They may or may not discriminate against gay people, but they may still discriminate against trans people.
Well, they might.
They'll just be subtler about it.
Well, they might. I don't know. There's nothing that you can do that can't be criticized as a microaggression against somebody. And
that's ridiculous in its own right.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as microaggressions. The founder of the Lavender and Green Alliance, an organization that celebrates Irish LGBTQ culture. Don't you love that intersectionalism? We now have an organization that intersegments LGBT culture and Irish culture, told The Guardian corporate participation in Pride did reflect progress, but said Reclaim emphasized community elders' grassroots efforts to effect change. The legacy of Stonewall is all about people, not about corporate participation. Well, sure, but as you were pointing out, the involvement of the people is essentially either being victims or being pandered to in this particular scenario. I don't want either thing to happen, but I would agree that being pandered to is an improvement over being discriminated against.
Yeah, I kind of see it as a swinging pendulum thing. You know, when you realize something you've been doing is, even as a human person, if you realize something you've been doing is wrong and you stop doing it, you might overcompensate for a while. But,
sure,
you know, people get over that kind of thing.
So Charles Kaiser, author of The Gay Metropolis, acting director of the LGBTQ Public Policy Center at Hunter College, and a Guardian contributor, said Sunday's events showed that positive change is possible and that participants must keep working for it. The most important thing is that the mass of humanity in the streets today proves that it is possible to imagine a different world and create it within your own lifetime. Yeah, but I don't want to live in the world that those people are attempting to create. And I say this as a trans person. Those people do not represent me. They do not share the worldview that I have. They share a worldview of oppression against the straight cis white male. I cannot get on board with that.
Yeah, and I feel the same way about certain segments of the marijuana legalization movement, where they just passed a law in somewhere, I think it was in Colorado, making it illegal to discriminate against people who smoke weed. And I'm like, well, if your opinion is that people who smoke weed aren't going to be as good as employees, then you should be able to put that opinion to the test in the market and benefit from it if you're wrong and suffer, or benefit from it if you're right and suffer for it if you're wrong.
I agree entirely. And when Mississippi actually passed their law allowing for discrimination against LGBTQ people by Christians, I was in support of that law.
Yeah.
Until I learned that there were two purposes of that law. And the second purpose was to protect Christians from retaliatory discrimination.
Oh, yeah. That's the thing, is you got the right to discriminate right back. And it makes sense. That's why you have different bars for different people. Because if you throw everybody into the same big bar, there are going to be more fights.
Absolutely.
You know?
But I mean, that was the way I felt about it. If a Christian doesn't want to hire me or doesn't want to do business with me, fine. I don't want to do business with them. But it makes me say, oh, yeah, you shouldn't go do business with this person. He was a jerk to me. It makes that illegal. And that was definitely problematic. Luckily, that law was good. No, it was ultimately struck down, as I believe. Baby steps toward theocracy in the South. That's what they're up to now, with Alabama passing its insane abortion law, being followed by several other states, all of whom are trying to be the first state to win the right to go honorably fight for the rights of unborn masses of human tissue.
Well, as a federalist, I think that the abortion laws should vary from state to state for so long as we have states, because not everybody agrees on that issue, and because of the nature of the issue, not everybody is going to agree. So from a political point of view, the best alternative to everybody being unanimous is federalism, where if it's really important to you, you can go live in a community that's to your liking.
I would absolutely agree. That's the best way to do this. Free association, really. Yeah. And the federal government sort of gets in the way of that. This has been the Call to Freedom. Thank you for listening. We'll be back with this Wednesday at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern, every Sunday, every Wednesday.
If you're looking for work, the person you are applying to is probably so swamped with applicants